there, fantasy owners. Welcome to LTC Fantasy here. We're starting off with our strategy for Week 1, Part 2, since the games over in Europe are done. Just want to start out by thanking you for watching via YouTube or podcast, no matter how you're streaming the episode. Also want to thank our new and current subscribers. Really do appreciate the support. And if you haven't subscribed or followed the podcast or subscribed via YouTube, please do so. Remember that notification bell. That we hear about future videos and podcasts there. So we are, as I mentioned, covered the rest of Week 1 now that the games over in Europe are done. Wednesday will be our waiver wire episode. Thursday we'll look at players to add for the weekend. And also shorts are coming out daily. Previewing some streamers for the following day's games, just some quick hits on a couple of players that might have favorable matchups there, so do check those out as well. Some things to note for the rest of the schedule is light nights. Tuesday there's only 2 games, Wednesday there's 6 games, and Friday there's 4 games. Thursday has 10 and Saturday has 14, so really heavy on those nights, and there's no games on Sunday. It's a 3-game week for a number of teams for the rest of the week. Chicago, Columbus, LA, Montreal, the Rangers, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Vegas, and Washington. Of course, San Jose and Nashville both had 4-game weeks, but 2 of them have already done, so they're in the slew of teams that have 2 games the rest of this week. And Winnipeg, do note, they only play once. So kind of gauge on if you have borderline players in that and who you'd pick up. So we will cover Tuesday and Wednesday light nights in this episode. Friday will be covered in our weekend ads episode there. Obviously we're going to cover the lightest nights because it gives you the most opportunity where there'll be room on your roster and help you maximize on games played. So we will cover Tuesday teams first. All of these teams do have 3-game weeks. Then we will cover Wednesday teams that have 3-game weeks, and then the remaining Wednesday teams that only play twice this week. Do look in the description, because in there I will mention on different nights where to find different positions. That way if you need to come back to the episode to find that piece you need later in the week, etc., you can do so. And from there we'll jump right into her. Some Tuesday night defensemen. Start off with Sean Durzi from LA. He's owned in 25% of Yahoo leagues. Only 23 years old, so nice young guy. Slated to be on the 3rd pairing and 2nd power play unit. Last year he put up 27 points in 64 games, 15 power play points. Keep in mind his power play production will go down now that Doughty's back in the lineup there. But he is a good young D-man, and he also gets you a decent amount of blocks in there to add a little extra value. Next one from LA is Alex Zedler. He's only owned at 1% of Yahoo leagues, is 36 years old, so he's up there in age, on the 3rd pairing, but last year he put up 19 points in 41 games. And again, as I mentioned, yes, he's old, but he's always, other than the 2021 season, he's always hovered right around that half point per game, so he is a good streaming option for you. Next one is Braden McNabb from Vegas. He's owned in 10% of Yahoo leagues. He's 31 years old. Should be on the 2nd pairing and top penalty kill unit. Last year, 18 points in 69 games played, but he had 179 blocks and 154 hits. So his value really is in hits and blocks. You sacrifice a little bit of offense depending how your league is set up, but can provide some decent value as a streaming option. Next one from Vegas is Alex Martinez. He's owned in 18% of Yahoo leagues. He's 35 years old. Should be on that top pairing and 2nd penalty kill unit. Last year, injury-ravaged season, he only put up 8 points in 26 games played. But in those 26 games, he had a really high block total. And he should be better offensively. Being up on that top pairing in Vegas should be able to chip in a few more points there. So should be an okay streaming option on a light night for sure. Moving up to some forwards that play on Tuesday. Look at Victor Arvidsson from LA. He's listed as left wing, right wing, 24% owned. He's 29 years old. Should be on that 2nd line and 2nd power play unit. Last year he had 49 points in 66 games played. He had 45 blocks, which is a nice block total for only playing 66 games for a forward, and 227 shots on goal. Do keep in mind, do check his status. He is back skating with the team. Not sure if he'll get cleared to play before Tuesday's game, so definitely check on his injury status. But if he is in, he'd be a nice streaming option for you. Next one from LA is Alex Iafallo. He's listed as a left winger, owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues. He's 28 years old. Listed to be on the third pairing, but top power play unit and top PK unit, so he's going to get a lot more ice time than your normal third liner. Last year he put up 37 points in 79 games. He had 53 blocks and 215 shots on goal. He's a player that's good in spurts, so if you catch him at the right time, he will be a decent streaming option for you. And yeah, he's spurty. That's all I can really say about him. Next one from Vegas is Riley Smith. He's listed as a right winger, owned in 10% of Yahoo leagues. He's 31 years old, should be on that top line with Eichel and top power play unit. He put up 38 points in 56 games played. And as I mentioned, if he is playing with Eichel, those numbers should improve offensively for him, so he'd be a decent streaming option for you. Next one from Vegas is Chandler Stevenson. He's listed as center right winger, owned in 40% of Yahoo leagues. He's 28 years old, slated to be on the second line, but top power play unit and top penalty kill unit. Last year he put up 64 points in 79 games and had 44 blocks, so nice block total for a forward. He really benefited last year from all the injuries that Vegas had, and with that, some of those bodies have moved out, and they know they can rely on him, so he should still get a decent amount of ice time and should produce, so should be a nice streaming option at best, maybe even a depth mover, you keep him on your roster there. Next one from Vegas is Phil Kessel. He's listed as a right winger, 23% owned, is 35 years old, should be on that top line and second power play unit. Last year he put up 52 points in 82 games played. Yes, he's really light on hits and blocks, but he put up 52 points on a crappy Arizona team realistically there. And now he's going to be playing with better players, and he might even be able to uptick on that production, score more goals. He only had 8 goals last year, so he definitely should beat that total. So it should be a nice streaming option for you. Next one is from the Rangers, Vincent Trocheck. Listed as a center, owned in 64% of Yahoo leagues. He's 29 years old. Should be on that second line and top power play unit. Last year he put up 51 points in 81 games played. He had 46 blocks and 185 hits. So if hits are counted, a little extra value for you. And yes, he played on a deep Carolina team, but now he's playing with the Breadman in Panarin. So even those numbers, you look how Strome gelled with Panarin last year. I do see Trocheck having a little bit better offensive upside, so he might even be able to improve offensively for you. Next one from the Rangers is Vitaly Kravtsov. He's listed as a right winger, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues. He's 22 years old, listed as should be on the second line and second power play unit. Last year he put up 13 points in 19 games in the KHL, which is a really nice total for how young he is in the KHL. They tend not to give very many minutes to the younger guys, and it is a less offensive league, so that should hopefully translate to the NHL because he does have a ton of offensive upside. So might be worthwhile streaming him early on and keep him if he does produce early for you. Next one is Alex Killorn from Tampa, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues, is 33 years old, should be on the second line, top power play unit, and top PK unit. Last year he put up 59 points in 82 games. He's okay, not great in his other categories like blocks and hits, but he should be a decent streamer on a deep Tampa Bay team. Sorry, getting a little tongue twisted there. And with Palat gone, Killorn will be the next guy to kind of get that role that Palat took some of the minutes from. So really should be a decent streamer for you. Next one from Tampa is Vladislav Namestnikov, listed as center left winger, only owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, so he really is available everywhere. He's 29 years old, should be on the top line and second power play unit. Last year he only put up 30 points in 75 games, but keep in mind this year he should start out with Stamkos and Kucherov, and just being on that line, you're going to get some points there. Look at Bunting in Toronto playing with Matthews and Marner. Namestnikov might not put up Bunting numbers, but should definitely increase that production there. He also had a nice block total, so he should be a solid streamer to start out anyways. So now we'll jump into some defensemen that play on Wednesday and also have 3 games this week. Those teams being Seattle, Washington, Columbus, Chicago, Montreal, and Toronto. Start out in Seattle. Look at Vince Dunn. He's owned in 41% of Yahoo leagues. Only 25 years old. Should be on that top pairing and top power play unit. Last year he put up 35 points in 73 games. So almost half point per game on a really weak Seattle team. He had nice stats on a weak Seattle team. Now they are deeper up front, so they should score a bit more, and with being on that top power play, which should improve somewhat. Not saying it's a top power play in the league, but top power play for Seattle. You should see them even improve on those numbers. Next one in Washington's Dmitry Orlov. 26% owned, 31 years old, should be on the second pairing there. Last year he put up 35 points in 76 games played. He really is a steady Eddie. He decent in all categories. He's not going to wow you in any of them, but he's not going to hurt you either. So he is a really solid streaming option on a light night there. Next one's Vladislav Gavrikov from Columbus. He's owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues. He's only 26 years old. Should be on the second pairing and top penalty kill unit. Last year he put up 33 points in 80 games, which is decent production for a streamer for sure. He had a nice hit and block total for a streamer and decent offensive talent there. Next one from Columbus is Adam Boqvist. He's owned in 16% of Yahoo leagues, only 22 years old, should be on the second pairing and second penalty or power play unit. He put up 22 points in 52 games played, so not bad considering his age. He is light on hits, but he is an offensive defenseman and should improve his output, especially Columbus got a little bit deeper getting this guy named Goudreau, if you heard in the offseason. But he should improve as he gets more experience and the team's a little bit deeper. Next one's from Montreal and Mike Matheson. He's 8% owned, only 28 years of age. He should be on that top pairing. He put up 31 points in 74 games played last year. He's okay in the different categories as well, so adds a little bit of value there. He will see an uptick in ice time. Obviously, he's not buried behind Letang. He will be on that top pairing. So with that, you should see him improve a little bit in every category as well as offense there. Next one's Mark Giordano from Toronto, owned in 30% of Yahoo leagues. He's 39% owned, should be on the second pairing and second power play unit. He put up 35 points in 75 games played there. So, yeah, he is older than dirt, but he is still productive. He puts up a decent amount of hits and blocks as well. And he's on a loaded Leafs team where he started the year in Seattle last year. So his ice time might go down, but his production might improve overall there. Should be a really good streaming option. So now we'll go to some forwards that have 3 games this week. Starting off in Seattle there. Top one is Matty Beniers from Seattle there. Listed as a center, owned in 47% of Yahoo leagues. Should be on that top line and top power play unit. Last year he had a little 10-game stint. He put up 9 points in those 10 games, which was really good, obviously. And he's been really good in the preseason. So if he is available in your league, you might want to jump on him early there. Next one from Seattle's Oliver Bjorkstrand, listed as a right winger, owned in 28% of Yahoo leagues. He's 27 years old, should be on that top line and second power play unit. He put up 57 points in 80 games last year. So last year he was almost a 30-goal guy, and for a streamer, he has nice all-around stats in different categories. They're not super high, but they're definitely not going to hurt you there, so really nice streaming option. Next one from Seattle is Andrei Burakovsky. He's listed as left wing, right wing, owned in 35% of Yahoo leagues, and he's also 27 years old. Last year he put up 61 points in 80 games played. Production, hard to say because he's on a really deep team in Colorado last year. Did get some time when there was injuries with McKinnon and Rantanen. So how much of a dip in production does he get? He's probably overall going to get more ice time, but his line mates aren't going to be as good. So for right now, he'll be a very good streaming option, not necessarily a depth forward at this point. Last one from Seattle's Jared McCann, listed as center left winger, owned in 18% of Yahoo leagues. He's 26 years old. Last year he put up 50 points in 74 games played. Slated to be on that second line top power play unit. Yes, he is light on hits and blocks, but with a deeper forward group there, his production might go down a bit, but he still will be a strong contributor getting top 6 minutes, so might be a decent streaming option for you on a light night if some of these other guys aren't available. Next one's Dylan Strome over in Washington now, listed as center right winger, owned in 27% of Yahoo leagues, and he's 25 years old. Should be on the second line and top power play unit. He put up 48 points in 69 games played. He really is an offensive only kind of play. He doesn't get you really much for hits or blocks. There is no Kane beside him, so hard to say what he will do offensively, but being on that top power play unit and deeper team obviously in Washington, we'll see how that turns out for his production. That's why I have him listed as a decent streamer at this point anyways. Next one in Washington's Anthony Mantha. He's listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 23% of Yahoo leagues. 28 years old, should be on that second line and second power play unit. Last year he put up 23 points in 37 games played. He's decent in all different stat categories when he is healthy. The problem is, does he stay healthy? That's why he's obviously low ownership. His health is really taking an issue. But if he is healthy, he's a decent streaming option for you. Going over to Columbus, look at Boone Jenner. Listed as a center, owned in 42% of Yahoo leagues. 29 years old, should be on the top line and top power play unit. Last year he put up 44 points in 59 games played. He's pretty good in all stat categories, and this year he's going to be in between Laine and Gaudreau. Just with those line mates, should be able to get some decent amount of production out of him. Next one from Columbus is Jakub Voracek, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues. He's 33 years old, should be on the second line and top power play unit. Last year he put up 62 points in 79 games played. Yes, he is light on goals, only had 6 of them, but he put up a ton of assists there. He's also a little bit light on blocks and hits. That's why you see the lower ownership, because he isn't a broad category. It's really the assists and the offensive production what you're hoping for with him. Next one is Nick Suzuki from Montreal, listed as a center, owned in 64% of Yahoo leagues. Is 23 years old, should be on the top line and top power play unit. Last year he put up 61 points in 82 games played. He had a really good block total for a forward as well. He's a young forward with upside, obviously going to play with Caulfield there. Do double check, he is listed day to day with an upper body injury, but I've read some reports that they expect him to be ready for opening game, so just double check that just to make sure before you pick him up there. Next one from Montreal is Evgeny Dadonov, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 6% of Yahoo leagues. He's 33 years old. Last year put up 43 points in 78 games played. Should be on that second line in Montreal and second power play unit. He finished last year on an absolute tear, even after that trade deadline debacle there. But you catch him at the right time, he'll be a really good streamer there. Sorry there, had a little blip with the camera there, but we'll move along. last one is Alex Kerfoot from Toronto, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 10% of Yahoo leagues. He's 28 years old, is on the second line and second power play unit. Last year he put up 51 points in 82 games played. Also had 65 blocks, so really nice block total. He is centering that second line with Tavares out for the first few weeks there. So with that, he should be a really good streamer, especially early on there. So now we'll finish up with some Wednesday defensemen that have 2 games this week. Those teams being Anaheim, Boston, Carolina, Colorado, Edmonton, and Vancouver. So in Anaheim, look at Kevin Shattenkirk. He's owned in 8% of Yahoo leagues. He is 33 years old. Last year should be on the top pairing and top penalty kill unit. Put up 35 points in 82 games played and had 135 blocks. So as he gets older, he is putting up more value in the hits and blocks department. His production's still decent, but going down slightly. So there's still some decent all-around fantasy value for you. Next one in Anaheim's Cam Fowler. He's owned in 13% of Yahoo leagues and is 30 years old. Should be on the top pairing, second power play unit, and also top PK unit. Last year he put up 42 points in 76 games played. He's close to Shattenkirk. He's a little bit more offensive and a little bit lighter on the hits and blocks in him, but overall some decent streaming option for you on a light night there. And the last one from Anaheim's Jamie Drysdale. He's owned in 17% of Yahoo leagues. He's 20 years old. Should be on the third pairing now and second power play unit. Last year he put up 32 points in 80 games played. He really had a nice first full season in the NHL. Just right now he's more of a streamer because we got to see how Klingberg taking away that top power play time and some minutes from him, how it's all going to pan out. Long term, Drysdale's going to be just fine and be the guy there. I really do believe that. Short term, it might just hurt him a bit fantasy-wise. Next one's from Boston, Hampus Lindholm. He's owned in 64% of Yahoo leagues. He's 28 years old. Should be on the top pairing, top power play unit, and second penalty kill unit. Last year, he only put up 27 points in 71 games played, but he's really going to be the benefactor early on with McAvoy and Grzelcyk being injured, and he's getting more of the opportunity, like I mentioned, especially early on here. Next one's Jacob Slavin from Carolina, also owned in 64% of Yahoo leagues. 28 years old, should be on the top pairing, second power play unit, and second PK unit. Last year he put up 42 points in 79 games played. He's a decent in all categories. Only 4 goals, but reliable, safe streaming option, really a steady Eddie for you. The last one's Oliver Ekman-Larsson, owned in 20% of Yahoo leagues there. He's 31 years old, should be on the second pairing, second power play unit, and top penalty kill unit. Last year he put up 29 points in 79 games played. He's still near or around the 30-point D-man there, which is decent as a streaming option on a light night. His other cats are okay, not great, but should be decent for you. Well, obviously next is forwards that play on Wednesday and only have 2 games this week. We'll start off in Boston. Look at Pavel Zacha. He's owned in 5% of Yahoo leagues, listed as center left winger, 25 years old. Still don't understand that trade for Holla. Don't mind Holla, but Zacha being quite a bit younger. Anyways, should be on the top line and second power play unit. Last year he put up 36 points in 70 games played. He's light on blocks, but he is playing with Pasternak there, and the offense should obviously improve as he's going to be the top line, maybe second line to start out, but should be decent all around and definitely worth streaming early on there. Another one from Boston's Jake DeBrusk. He's listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 21% of Yahoo leagues, 25 years old, should be on the second line, top power play unit, and second PK unit. Last year he put up 42 points in 77 games played. Another one like Lindholm, he's going to benefit with the Marchand injury, getting some time on that top power play unit, so definitely might be worth streaming, especially early on there. Next one's Martin Nikas in Carolina. He's listed as a right winger, owned in 9% of Yahoo leagues, only 23 years old, should be on the second line and second power play unit. Last year he put up 40 points in 78 games played. He really is an offensive guy. He's really offense only, a little bit lighter in some of the other categories. But he should stay in the Carolina top 6, and they're going to score quite a bit, so he might be a nice streaming option on light nights for you. Over in Colorado, look at Arturi Lehkonen. Owned in 46% of Yahoo leagues, listed as left winger, right winger, 27 years old. Right now playing on that top line and top power play unit. He put up 38 points in 74 games played. He decent in all stat categories, and he seemed to fit in really well since he came over to Colorado. And playing with McKinnon and Rantanen, you can't help but kind of hope for some piggyback points there and stream him early on until Landeskog gets back. Next one's over in Edmonton, Kyler Yamamoto, owned in 10% of Yahoo leagues, listed as a right winger, 24 years old, is slated on that top line and second power play unit. Last year he put up 41 points in 81 games played. He had nice hit and block totals for a forward there, and for a streamer anyways, and he is starting on McDavid's line. And you know, when you're on the line with McDavid, you're definitely going to get some secondary assists, etc. there, so definitely look to stream him early on, assuming he is listed day to day also, but he heard that he should be ready for opening night there. Next one in Vancouver is Connor Garland. He's owned in 29% of Yahoo leagues, listed as left winger, right winger, should be on the top line and second power play unit. Put up 52 points in 77 games played, and he had 203 shots on goal, so really nice shot total there. He is light on hits and blocks, but we're streaming on light nights being on that top line in Vancouver. And the last one from Vancouver is Andrei Kuzmenko, owned in 33% of Yahoo leagues, listed as a left winger, is 26 years old, slated to be on the second line and top power play unit. Put up 53 points in 47 games in the KHL last year, so he had really nice production in the KHL, known for being a lower scoring league. Does that translate to the NHL? We'll find out soon enough in the next week or 2 weeks, or over the course of the season anyways. But I think he's worth mentioning to stream on a light night. Really do hope you did enjoy today's episode. If you're listening via podcast, please hit follow, hit subscribe, hit that heart depending what platform you're listening on. If you're listening via YouTube, please remember to hit like, hit subscribe, remember that notification bell, and we'll be out in a few days with our waiver wire episode. And good luck in week 1 there, fantasy owners.